Since we talked last, you guys probably saw it. I released that video on Hompage. It's something that I've had in the back of my head for a long time. I've wanted to swap out my homepage / dashboard Heimdall with Hompage dashboard for a lot of reasons. Well, one, I had a couple of requirements. First, like I was so over having a volume that's connected to my container. Now, if you're running Docker only, that's life. That's how most things run. If you're running Kubernetes, that's not how most things run, and you want to avoid that at all costs. And so what does that mean? That means your state and all the files that you're working on can't be attached to one pod or one container, because then you can't scale that container, and you have to do a whole bunch of maintenance for that container and worry about that storage. So anyways, I've been using Heimdall for a while, but I've been waiting for something that was more config driven. And a lot of people, which is fair comments, said, hey, like, you know, YAML's not for me, or, you know, I don't know YAML, or hey, all you guys know YAML and you're taking it for granted because I don't know YAML. Not that I love YAML, but I like a config that I can pass to a container that I can use. YAML just helps to get structured. So anyways, I ended up finding Hompage. It is great. There are a couple out there that do config approach, but I found Hompage to be nice, pretty modern. I think it uses Next.js. That's neither here nor there. But I do like how configurable it is. Plus, I like the frosted glass. That's what got me in the end. The frosted glass theme. You know, I'm a sucker for frosted glass, as you can tell probably for, you know, this and this. But hey, real quick, Blockbog on Networks. Hey, thank you so much for the sub. I gave Casa OS a try, and it was a gas with data, directory / data per IMSA 777. Yeah. I bet. I feel like that's a work in progress. Oh, Casa OS. It's weird because they're releasing, I think, a Casa OS, and then there's the Casa OS that is container. Anyways, I think they're going to call it Zima OS. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. I think that they need some help. I think that they need a lot of love. I do like the fact of how simple it is to use and how quickly you can get going from a UI. But yeah, like if anyone, you know, takes a peek under the covers for a lot of code, you're gonna, you know, I'm not just saying that project, but a lot of other code projects, you're gonna find some stuff that you don't like. But yeah, 777 probably not the best permissions to set on a directory. I feel like that was a hack or an easy button. You should open an issue on their GitHub. I'm sure they'd appreciate it. And I won't go off on a tangent there, but a lot of people, you know, talk about how can I contribute to GitHub. A lot of people may not be developers to write code. I will always want you to remember that, hey, even opening issues and identifying bugs is also contributing to an open source project. That's a huge piece to contributing to open source projects, is even opening issues. Obviously, you got to follow the template and do all that and make sure it's right and repeatable. But opening issues, I feel like, is a good way to contribute to a project too, because sometimes you don't know those bugs exist. Anyways, Blockbog on Networks. I'm going off tangents, but hey, thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for the continued support. 15 months. Thank you so much. Scotchmiss, thanks for the follow. It's Nibula, LOL. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. But going back, all the way back into what I was working on. Yes, so Hompage, I'm a huge fan. It's great. It's I also discovered that you can add these little green icons to add pings, so it can either ping, do a network ping, the protocol ICMP, or it can do kind of a ping or a health check on that service, which is pretty cool. And then I got mine tied into Kubernetes, and now I can see a whole bunch of stuff. So anyways, I'm pretty happy. Don't get me wrong, Heimdall's a great product. I'm not saying like anything bad against Heimdall. My needs have just changed. For sure. And I used it for many, many years. I mean, it was one of my first container videos for a while, and I used it all the way up till 2024. So a good 3-4 years of using that. But my needs have changed. So anyways, I'll get off that. Another thing I've been working on, you could probably see it back there, but can you hear it? I don't think you can hear it. But those are my 3 1U servers. I'm getting closer and closer to moving them to a colocation. One of the drives died. I'm waiting on a warranty. and I kind of did a hack. I needed to set up ZFS on these 2 mirrored pairs, but I didn't have a spare. So what I did was pull one drive out of another one, built the array, built the ZFS mirrored pairs, and then pulled it out right away and put it back in the other one. I was like, light bulb moment last night. I almost went to Micro Center to buy another spare, yet another one. I have 2, and they're both getting warrantied right now. But I had a light bulb moment. I said, hey, I have many drives. I could just build, you know, mirrored pairs ZFS, 2 mirrored pairs per server, and then just pull one drive, put it in one, build a mirrored pair, pull it out, and put it back in the other one, and it'd just be in a degraded state until the other one gets here. So I had a light bulb moment last night that removed a roadblock, and so I've been working on those. So my 1U server's back there, and I'm pretty excited to kind of, I don't know, get them in a colo, see how that goes. I feel like I'm sending my kids off to college, except for I don't have kids, and I can't call them. I can call them. I don't know. This is getting weird, but I got to figure all that stuff out. So anyways, and when I'm saying, can you hear that? My 1U servers are pretty quiet. Pretty quiet. A lot of people in their mind, they think 1U servers, those things are screaming. All 3 are on right now. And I do have a noise gate on, but they're not that loud. And if they were that loud, you would hear them right now while I'm talking. They're not. Anyways, I'll get through all that. Hey, real quick, not even real quick. Dude, PC Geek. Hey, thanks for the 100 bits, dude. Thank you. Happy Saturday, everyone. I agree. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Let me see. Mafney, how's it going? Hi. Tier 1, 39 months. So that is, I'm going to have to do some math here, real math here in a second. That's 3 years, 3 months, 3 and a quarter, 3 and a quarter years, I think. Yeah. Thank you so much. How's it going, Mafty? Ilud, dude, how's it going? Tier 1, 40 months. Let's go, man. Dude, Ilud, man, Mafney, PC Geek, you guys do so much already for the community. Anyways, let's get into chat. Let's see what you're working on. Let's see what you want to talk about. This is really your stream. I'm just here to facilitate some stuff. But here to answer questions and give my opinions on stuff, even if my opinion doesn't apply, and take us down rabbit holes. How does that sound? All related to tech again. Let's see. Oh, I thought I had that highlighted. Oh, yeah, right here in the beginning. Hey, Chuck Norris says, hey, a lot of people say hello. Hey, what's going on? Blood Blight. How's it going? Tim, Techno Tim, moving from Docker to Kubernetes bit by bit. Would love to see some videos on writing apps for deployments. Yeah, so, sure. I think I have some sprinkled in there. I'm trying to think. I have some sprinkled in there. For sure, I do. Because I started to do the Kubernetes stuff in the beginning. Anyways, I have some stuff sprinkled in there. There'll definitely be some more coming soon. But I'm curious, when you say for deploying apps, do you mean just like, hey, doing kube control and applying a deployment file? Or do you mean like Helm installs? Or do you mean like, hey, building your own app and then deploying that? So a lot of questions there. But yeah, there's more to come with Kubernetes. You guys know I'm doing Kubernetes all the time. I try not to beat it over everyone's head because it's not for everyone. And I get that. And my home lab is more than Kubernetes, but it's a piece I really enjoy. So, hey, hey, that's a good first step, is tackling Kubernetes. I would say, build out your cluster, play with it, test it. Don't run in production yet. Keep your Docker instance up, and then as you see workloads that might meet some criteria, move them over, play with it, test it. But I would say keep your Docker instance up and going. You never have to burn that down until once you do. Once you do, that's your Cortez moment. Burn the ships. You don't have to burn the ships or burn the boats just to play with Kubernetes. So. Ships and boats as being, your old Docker instance or whatever you're running on. But sounds awesome. Twisted Grim, howdy, how's it going? And maybe use Git to do the deployments. Yeah, if you're thinking about Git, yeah, look at GitOps stuff. There's both Flux and ArgoCD, but I think that's a good approach. If you're gonna learn them both right away, yeah, I would say that's a good approach, because it does change how you deploy things, right? And so if you get into the manual way of deploying stuff, you're gonna have to unlearn the manual way and then think about the Flux or GitOps way, Flux or CI/CD or ArgoCD way, because they all do them different. But yeah, awesome, man. You're diving in. Twisted Graham, I nearly averted a disaster today by accidentally deleting some application data on my Docker server. Oops. Yay for backups. Yeah, for sure. Yay for backups. Yeah, I've been there many times. I've been there many times where I accidentally RMRF something and I'm like, ooh, that stinks. But yeah, glad you have backups, you know, and yeah, be careful. I don't know. I wish there was an undo for RMRF. But then it's like, okay, well, that's a recycling bin, and I should be deleting it a different way, I guess. But Shiny Shoes, Dancing Dino, how's it going? Yakto, hey, how's it going, Yakto? Working on writing an application to migrate VMware workloads to OpenStack. Yeah, man. Yeah, carpe diem, seize the moment, seize the day, man. Yeah, so yeah, sad day, VMware stuff. I don't know. A lot of stuff going on with VMware. People looking for alternatives. You're trying to, you know, capitalize on that. Not necessarily capitalize, but, you know, take advantage of the situation and say, hey, I have some people who are on VMware who now want to be on OpenStack. You know, let's make this transition as smooth as possible. So, pretty awesome. I'd love to see that. I still need to do some OpenStack stuff sometimes. I don't know. Getting ready to do this cloud stuff. I keep asking myself, is now the time to run OpenStack in my private cloud? I don't know, but good to see you, Yakto. Good to see you, man. Twisted Grim, I think that was 2 weeks in a row I've been relying on backups. Yeah, but that's what they're for, right? That's what they're for. If you do something and you mess up, that's what backups are for. So hey, it's I'm glad you can rely on them, and you had the foresight to actually create backups. So awesome, man. Dude, thank you so much. Hey, it's Johan. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Thank you. Porkoltz Zaft. Bloodlight Kubernetes deployments Git sentence. With Kubernetes deployments and Git in the same sentence, you might want to look at GitOps practices. ArgoCD is a good implementation. I totally agree. I'm right there with you. Benkos, hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Yes, me. What are you working on? What's up? Speaking of VMware, just Kaiser so say researching alternatives to VMware. Yeah, there's a handful of them that are pretty good. XC, PNG, Proxmox, OpenShift, you name it. And then there's others that are probably pretty popular too. And there's even Hyper-V. I mean, I feel like this VMware exit stuff is just like giving Microsoft like a whole nother opportunity for virtualization, even though I feel like they've also deprioritized virtualization too. I feel like, man, I don't know. Just they've there's a lot of customers out there that need someone to that need someone to pay. Need someone to pay for software and support. But I kid about Hyper-V, but I'm just saying it's just odd. But VMware, that's their core product, or was it a core product? Shiny Shoes, I've deployed Docker Registry to push my containers. I want to self-host a stack of apps I coded from a side project. More CI/CD to come. Awesome. So you deployed a Docker Registry to push my containers. Yeah, you want a self-hosted stack of apps. Awesome. So I know exactly what you're doing. I kind of do the same thing. I don't do the self-hosted registry piece, but I do everything up to there. I do self-hosted runners, but they're different code base, whatever. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So you're using, I forget what the most popular self-hosted container registry is. It's a Lighthouse or something. Forget what it is. Their logo's a Lighthouse. Anyways, so you built that, and now you want to build code, and during your CI and CD process, you want to build containers, and then you want to put those containers, that artifact, into that registry. Harbor, that's what it's called, Harbor. Ooh, I pulled that one out. But that is awesome. Yes to all of that. That sounds awesome. I'm curious what you're going to do for your CI to CD. So if you're hosting if you're self-hosting, say, your code in Git, then you have lots of options. But if it's a GitHub, you have GitHub Actions. If it's in GitLab, then you have GitLab runners. But then you're going to self-host your container registry. I'm willing to bet that if you're self-hosting your container registry, you're probably also self-hosting your code. because for me, that's the last piece that I wanna maintain is the container registry. But hey, sounds awesome. Sounds awesome. Will do. Thank you. Yes. Nerpiest, I set up Plex server using Docker Compose. It's also running 1 terabyte SMB share Portainer in Uptime Kuma. That is awesome. That is awesome. So Plex running in Docker, awesome. Awesome for sure. It's also running a 1 terabyte SMB share. Yeah, I bet Bones Your Media is on there. And then it's running Portainer and running Uptime Kuma. That is awesome. So sounds like you got a nice little Docker stack going on. I don't want to say little, but you know, you got a nice little Docker server and starting to run some containers. You got plenty of room. You got plenty of room for them. I don't know how much RAM and stuff you have, but you know, if I look at it, you know, Plex, it's only busy when people are using it. Same with the Samba share, the SMB share. Portainer is only kind of never really busy unless you're using the UI, then it's only moderately busy. Uptime Kuma, same. It's just doing checks in the background, so you have a lot of capacity for a lot of stuff. But Nerpius, that sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. Hey time, maybe you meant Tim, but I like it. Oh boy, I meant Tim. Yeah, I get that a lot. When people, I just know that when people write the word time and it seems misplaced, they mean Tim, because it happens all the time to me. Like people, you know, type time instead of Tim, and I'm like, I know that's probably for me. Flowdash, setting up a new R730, then I will ship it out to my parents' parents' place to replace that R710 that's in use there. That is awesome. So someone's at the door, hopefully just gonna leave a package. Awesome. So new R730, then you're shipping your 710 to your parents' place. That can be used there. That is awesome. So you got you're obviously upgrading your machine at your home, putting your 710 at your parents'. Then you could probably back up. You could do whatever you want over VPN or however you want to do it to back stuff up and move and shuffle stuff around. Maybe build tunnels. That sounds awesome. Dude. Our swing. Dude, 10 months, tier 1. Thank you so much. I remembered this month. This weekend, I'm setting up automating add dashboards to my Grafana cluster. Automating adding dashboards to my Grafana in my cluster. That sounds awesome. Offswing. I need to get back into Grafana once I have this in my private cloud. I don't know what to call it. I think it's private cloud. Once I move those to Colo and build up my private cloud, I'm definitely bringing Grafana back and Prometheus, that whole stack, because yeah, it's the fun thing to do, and I think it's the right thing to do. If you're gonna put anything out there worth running, you should probably monitor it. And you know, I have some things that are out there now, and they're being monitored, but with I would say less than stellar tools to do it. And so yeah, I want to get back into Grafana, but that is awesome. Thank you for the continued support. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Xgage. Xgage. I'm looking at ArgoCD. Awesome. We'll be moving from Docker to Kubernetes for HA. Awesome. We'll start the minute I figure out what identity management solution I want to use. IAM or just IMS. Currently using Authentik, but maybe I will move to Keycloak or Citadel. Yeah, all good choices. All good choices. I used for a while. I use Authelia. That's an auth proxy, and so not I guess an IMS solution or identity management solution. But yeah, Authentik. It seems pretty good. Keycloak seems pretty good. Citadel seems pretty good. I don't have experience with Citadel. I have just minimal experience with Authentik and then Keycloak. But yeah, sounds awesome. Like I said earlier, don't pull a Cortez and burn the boats. Build up your Kubernetes cluster first, get that going, and then once you're comfortable enough to move to it, then move to it. Usually people use the whole Cortez thing when they're like, you know, motivational speaker where they're like, burn the boats, you know, don't give yourself a plan B, you know, and now I'm saying, well, maybe you should keep your plan B if you're thinking of jumping ship. But hey, XCage sounds awesome. Sounds like you got a lot of things to research, some good choices to make, and thank goodness this is Homelab because you can make those choices, right? You can make those choices. You're not settling for choices that the company determined for you and handed to you. So pretty awesome. Grand Plane working on the Death Knight in Soulstone Survivors. Wait, working on the Death Knight in Soulstone Survivors. That is awesome. I don't know what Soulstone Survivors is. I know what a Death Knight is. I assume this is part of Soulstone, Hearthstone. I don't know. I feel like it's a World of Warcraft gaming reference somewhere in the Blizzard, somewhere in the Blizzard realm. But dude, I don't know. I hope you get it. I hope you get the Death Knight. Scotch, Techno Tim. I'm still building up the Homelab using automation. If I can knock out the network automation, I'll pivot to automating the installation of my Proxmox cluster on bare metal using IPMI on the Dell iDRAX. Hey, I like it. So building up the Homelab using automation. That is awesome. If I can knock it out the network automation, I'll pivot to automating. Yeah, let me know when you get the Proxmox install automation going. This one's been pretty manual back here. Which doesn't take long. But I don't think it's so much about the time it takes, but more about doing things in a repeatable way. And what I did back here was not repeatable. I had a checklist. I'm going to be honest with you. I was going back to like 2000. Had a checklist of things I needed to do to these 3 servers. Luckily, I only need to do it once. But bare metal provisioning, I think, is for me, it's the elusive beast. I don't know, Holy Grail elusive. I don't know. It's pretty elusive because to go to bare metal to something is hard for me. I think it is for me for sure. Because automating, how do you? It have to be Pixie Boot and then some kind of automation after that. But anyways, Scotch sounds awesome. And automating your network, I would like to know about that too. Assume it's some Ansible stuff or Terraform stuff with providers against some networking equipment. I'd love to know. Love to know more. Mr. Technician, how's it going? Good to see you. I'm still working on the scraping project. All right, I'm completely avoiding capture problems and working through the issues with the return data format. Yeah, awesome. So I think if I remember correctly, you were scraping Amtrak stuff. You're scraping Amtrak to try to get to make little buying tickets, I guess, or getting prices on tickets a little bit easier. So yeah, it sounds awesome. I gave you like an earload of things to think about in the future, and I think this is exactly kind of what I was hinting at. Was like, hey, they're detecting you're a bot and they're putting a CAPTCHA in your face, and now you need to solve that CAPTCHA programmatically, maybe. There's services that you can sign up for that human beings will solve that CAPTCHA and put the number in. It's so crazy. There are CAPTCHA services. Anyways, all that aside, I hope you get past the CAPTCHA. I think my advice was, look as human as possible, and don't do it as very little as you can. Try to be the needle in the haystack rather than being, the loudest one who's hitting, their services every 5 seconds, where it's real easy to pick you out in the log. So randomize some stuff. I don't know. Lots of advice there. But anyways, yeah. So working through the return data format, hopefully they're returning JSON. That makes it semi-easy to parse. If they're returning who knows what, HTML, a lot harder to parse. And so if they are returning HTML instead of JSON, there are things you could do, or hopefully they're not returning XML. I don't know. Soap. Anyways, if they're returning HTML, there's some stuff you could do like Cheerio, which will help you parse, pieces of HTML in a jQuery like syntax. So anyways, I that's awesome. I hope you get it. I'd love to see price comparison or ways to see tickets for Amtrak. So yeah, awesome. Flowdash, need to deploy pfSense, Proxmox, TrueNAS, Traffic, and all my other apps again on my new R730. I want it to be plug and play. That is awesome. Yeah, you just talked about, 90% of everyone's Homelab stack right there. But yeah, I agree. I agree. You want it to be plug and play. I'm trying to think if there's ways you could do it. I mean, trying to think like, could you create a VM and move some stuff over? I'm not sure. That gets into weird territory. I will say though, if you are using Docker, at least you have your manifest there, right? Your Docker Compose, maybe. If you used it, and on top of that, if you saved it, at least then you'd have all your Docker Compose files. So wherever you store your Docker stuff, you could almost copy and paste that and move that over, right? That's the easy part. But that's on the end. The end game. Getting it, pfSense, Proxmox, TrueNAS up and going is in the beginning. But each of them have ways to back stuff up and config up too. So. It does sound fun though. It does sound fun. Yeah, Scotch says does sound fun. Yeah, it does. That's the fun part, is like configuring new hardware, laying it down. New follower. Banana. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. AKL Ferris. Going to be working on a new 24 by 16 terabyte hard drive for TrueNAS. All right. Going to do 4 VDEVs of 6 disks. Okay. RAID Z2 with 2 hot spares. Debating SSDs versus Optane U2 for SLOG and L2 ARC. Any thoughts? Wow, a lot going on there. I'm so glad I did TrueNAS stuff the last month, where I feel like I could kind of answer this question. Because, if it was 2 months ago, I might punt and say, ask Tom Lawrence. You should still ask Tom Lawrence. He might need to do some fact checking on the stuff that I say. Anyways, okay, so the Optane for SLOG, so let me break this down. You're going to TrueNAS, you're doing 4 VDEVs, so 4 individual VDEVs of 6 disks in a RAID Z2 with 2 hot spares. And then you're saying, hey, so you've made up your mind on your storage layout. Totally fine. You seem like you know what you're doing, especially if you're making those choices with 2 hot spares. You seem like you know what you're doing. So you have a question about SSDs versus Optanes for SLOG. It depends. I know everyone says like, go Optane. I even went Optane. I even went Optane. I got 2 Optane drives in a mirror. That do the SLOG, or do the system intent logging for that pool. And I'll be honest, like, it does little bits of reads and writes all day, but it's actually not doing as much as I thought it would do. It's not doing as much as I thought it would do, because I guess my disks were, I don't know, fast enough before to do the double to write the intent log on the pool, and then to write it again inside of the pool. Anyways, that aside, everyone's going to tell you Optanes. And what they say and what they do might be different. I did find some Optanes pretty cheap. I know they have like an insanely long life. They're mirrored though too, where I'm kind of like, okay, is it really worth it to get 2 if they're mirrored and really go this enterprise for this? I don't know. That's going to be up to you to decide. I will say they are mirrored. They are going to get written to a lot. The nice thing about Optanes though is they have super low latency too. A lot lower latency than normal hard drives. And so you kind of want that on your writes. So that's going to help you. That's going to help you on your writes only, right? So when you write a lot of files to over the network or whatever, write a lot of files in general, it's going to write to now that SLOG and store it there, and then trickle that write into your pool, speeding up your overall throughput, because it doesn't have to write them on the existing spinning disks and then move it from those existing spinning disks over. So I would say this totally up to you. Everyone's going to tell you Optane. I'm telling you, I went Optane. But if I knew now, if I knew then what I know now, I would have probably just went Samsung Evos. Because it's so minimal, the amount of writing it's doing. And then on L2 ARC, so I did go Evo, because I thought like, and I only have a single one. I would have done 2, but I couldn't get 2 in there. Personally, I wanted 2 NVMEs, and I wanted to stripe them for my L2 ARC. And so L2 ARC is, your L1 ARC, or just ARC, is your RAM that's used in TrueNAS to cache all of your files that are getting accessed. And so L2ARC, what that does is give you a second place to put stuff that's not as fast as RAM, but not as slow as the spinning disks. And so I will say, though, that you have, so this is going to help you on your reads. So when you pull stuff off, right? So when you pull stuff off, I was just talking about this on the Changelog podcast. It was on there earlier this week. I forgot to mention that. I'll mention it in Discord later. But you know, if you have spinning disks, you're usually limited to 150 megabytes per second on a read, right? So if you're trying to read something off those disks, right too. But if you're trying to read something off 150 megabytes per second, you need a lot of those to really pull 10 gig if you're doing 10 gig. And so where the L2ARC stuff will help you is storing those additional files on disk, on very fast disk, so that if you need to pull it off, it's coming from there versus those spinning disks. And everyone will say, put more ARC, put more RAM. And I totally agree. That's going to be your best bang for your buck. More RAM will help you everywhere. But, you know, I have 128 gigs of RAM in mine, and I work on 28 gig, you know, files when I do YouTube stuff. And so, you know, that's whole thing's not going to live in RAM for long. And so that's where my L2ARC comes in, and it'll store it there as well. So, and then that's how I get, you know, a 10 gig pull, a full 10 gig if I read, because I don't have enough spindles. You know, remember that 150 megabytes per second. I think it takes 9 or 10, if my back of napkin math is right, to get 10 gigabit. So anyways, I think you know exactly what you're doing. Long story short, if I could redo what I just did, the only thing I would change, I wouldn't have went Optane. I just would have got, you know, Samsung Evos, put them in a mirror, called it a day. You know, one fails, it's a mirror, get a warranty claim on it, just like I did. So if I could redo it, I totally would, and I wouldn't have got the Optanes. If you get a super good deal on it, do it. But if you're paying more than you would for an Evo and it's less useful, because these are very specialized drives, then do it. Probably not the advice, you know, if I was an enterprise storage administrator, I would probably said Optane all the way. But I'm kind of like, yeah, tried it. It's, you know, I think consumer grade drives on home stack of TrueNAS will work just fine. Ooh, that was a lot. Whipped Llama, greetings. Sigor, I finally got my UDM set up at my other property. Hey, congratulations. Now I just need to figure out how to set up Home Assistant instance there that's connected to the one I'm running at home for water and fridge sensors. Yeah, totally. Funny. You mentioned this because that's kind of what I've been doing all day. All this morning, I basically built a site-to-site between that on my workbench and that downstairs so I can configure these servers as if they were remote. And so I set that up, and I just left all the firewall rules open because I wanted to be able to get to it. But at the same time, I needed to build out my network. This is all like my pre-work for Colo. Long story short, what you were asking was, hey, like, now I need to get, you probably know how to do this, but you said to figure out how to get your Home Assistant instance there and connected to the one I'm running for home and fridge sensors. So you're going to have to build, you know, you're either going to build site-to-site, VPN between the two, or you're going to have to do tunnels, however you want to do it. You use Tailscale, Cloudflare, whatever. Or Site Magic, which I found is totally magic. It is totally magic with Unify, with Unify products. If you go into Site Manager, go to Site Magic, click your two sites. As long as you have different network segments, that's very important. As long as you have different, you know, network segments or subnet ranges, it'll just magically create a VPN for you and everything will work. I will say though, if you do that, it's just allowing all. So you got to create a bunch of firewall rules to block. So anyways, you know what to do. You could either use tunnels, like I said, tunnels for Tailscale, Cloudflare, build your own tunnels, however you want to do it. Do WireGuard, build your own mesh network if you want yourself, or lean into your firewall and do site to site. Whether that be IPsec or OpenVPN, or your Site Magic. So You have a lot of options. I think you're probably deciding on what to do rather than what to do, because I'm sure you'll figure it out once you get it. But pretty awesome. Then once you do it, yeah, it's just make sure you choose different subnets. It'll make your life so much easier. Like, use different subnets. Yeah, life will be so much easier. Sigor, it's also nice to have the unified doorbell there to check in on things. Yeah, cool. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I agree. It's nice to have remote cameras in general. Whenever you have remote cameras, you're like, I feel so much better. For sure, Sigor. That Crazy Stoner, how's it going, man? Peace, love. Hey, what's up? What's up, Crazy Stoner? How's it going? I think you're new to our Discord. You've been blowing it up, man. Thanks for all the help, for sharing your Homelab dashboard on Homepage and helping some others in Docker. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. So, clarifying, are you using the PiKVM to KVM TESmart? All right, David Klopp. Hey, thanks for the reminder on this. Another thing that I've been working on for over a year, the TESmart switch, right? So if you saw my video a while ago on the PiKVM, it was V3. It was one I purchased. I purchased it with the intent of using it with the TESmart switch because it was listed as compatible. No one, it was listed as compatible on PiKVM's website. I thought, hey, this is a good bet. Yeah, and so that's what I did. I started to build it out. Quickly, I realized that there were problems, especially with my Intel NUCs and remote controlling any of them. Anytime I trained more than one, they would freak out. Now, I don't know if that's a TESmart problem, a Proxmox problem, because that's what they were running, an Intel NUC problem. But I know for sure it was everything from the device back to TESmart. So anything in between there. Could not get it to work. I even changed mid-video and switched over to the EasyQ. That worked great, no problems, which told me it's not PiKVM, it's not EasyQ, and it's most likely not my Intel NUCs. And so I've been working with both the one of the creators and one of the lead people at PiKVM to work through this. And then also working with TESmart at their headquarters. They're trying to figure it out because everyone wanted to solve it, which was pretty awesome. And I've seriously been back and forth with everyone, trying everything, running down into my basement at least 1,000 times, getting my steps in and getting my stairs in too over the last year. Anyways, long story short, someone on the video, or actually on my blog, commented, try these EDID emulators. I'd never heard of EDID emulators. Like, I'd never even heard of EDID until I started doing PiKVM. And what it does, it hard codes an EDID for your devices. Basically says like, hey, here's my resolution, here's my capabilities. So it overrides your device's resolutions and capabilities and hard codes one. I thought there's no way. So when I first got this first comment, I didn't even know there were a thing. Someone else said they did it and they tried it and it worked. So anyways, I tried it, it worked, and now everything's great. A little $6 fix actually solved all of my problems. I wish I would have known this thing exists in the past. So anyways, that's what you're asking about. That was something that I finally put the nail in the coffin on that one. And I will say, like, it works great with PiKVM v4 and a TESmart switch with this little $6 adapter. And so, David, you're asking about that. You're saying, so clarifying, you are using the PiKVM to KVM, the TESmart 8-port KVM. Yes, I am. So I have my PiKVM that connects to the TESmart 8-port switch. Should work with 16 now too. And then from, the 8 ports, I have the 8-port rack mount. The whole reason I wanted it, to put it in my server rack. So I have the 8-port rack mount, and then those, display the HDMI in and out, goes to the different devices. And I plugged, you can see it in my latest blog post. If you go to technotim.live, you can see pictures. I plugged the EDID emulator directly into the TESmart. Everything's like perfect. I can reboot, I can do everything I want. And it's kind of wild because some people said, hey, mine works perfect. Other people have the same problem as me, but weren't as vocal, or maybe just didn't have an audience to talk to. And so it's caused a lot of confusion between PiKVM and TESmart. But we finally figured it out. Huge thank you to community people who posted comments on my blog and like helped me solve this along with everyone else. So anyways, yes. I'm so glad that's done also. And now it means I could move more machines in my rack. So, hey, Striker Plays MC. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Geek Masher. After your homepage video, I tried it out and I love it. All right. I was using Heimdall, replacing in a few weeks now. Hey, that is awesome. Dude, Striker Plays. Thanks for the sub, tier 1 sub. All right, let's go. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Striker Plays. Thank you. Striker Plays MC, I assume it's Minecraft, but Striker, thanks. Thanks for the follow and the quick follow up with the tier 1 sub. Thank you. Thank you. Tech Life, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. So Geek Masher, awesome. After a homepage video, I tried it out and I love it. Was using Heimdall, replacing in a few weeks now. That is awesome. And again, like Heimdall's a fine product. If you're using Heimdall, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. My requirements were different because Heimdall can do a lot of the same thing. And actually, Heimdall has a better plugin for the HD home run because it'll show you how many tuners are being used, where Homepage doesn't. Buddy of mine figured that out. So we might open a pull request to change that. I don't want to say fix it because it's a feature, not a bug. But Heimdall is great, but I'm right there with you. This morning I swapped over 100%. Like I had DNS set up so I could run both. Finally, this morning I said, sorry Heimdall, no mas way, and I removed it from Kubernetes, and I even deleted my Longhorn storage for it, because that was the biggest pain, was the persistent volume claim in Kubernetes. That's the whole reason why I switched. Not because it was a bad product, just because it depended on configuration inside of your volume versus giving it a config and letting it run that way. So anyways, Geek Masher, awesome. I'd love to see your dashboard. I shared mine. Mine's looking a little bit better than it did in that video, but I'm loving it. Mr. Slev, 9091. Hey, Tim. Do you have some array of SSDs or NVMEs? It depends. Do I have an array of NVMEs? Yes, I have one array, which is, it's what we were talking about earlier. For TrueNAS, it's actually my SLOG. So they are, an NVMe array that is mirrored. But do I put anything on them? No, that's used for I don't want to say caching, but your intent log, because it's technically not caching. And then I have lots of SSD arrays too, so SSD disks, not NVMe. Back there I have 2 mirrored pairs, so 4 in each one of those servers, so that gives me some. But am I using it for like cold storage, for bulk storage, anything like that? No. I've always used for my bulk storage, NAS, typical NAS share stuff. I've always used spinning disks. Now that I have TrueNAS, I use spinning disks along with what we were talking about earlier, L2ARC for a little more cache to help on the reads, right, for network speed. And then the SLOG, which we were talking about earlier, the intent log to help on the writes, so I get faster reads and faster writes. No, I wish SSDs, I wish 14 terabyte SSDs cost as much as a spinning disk. Then I would consider it. Maybe though. Depends on lifetime too, because spinning disks, they will not quit. They either quit early or never quit. It's kind of like, that's what I've learned. It's kind of, yeah. So anyways, I do have small ones. I usually reserve that type of super fast storage. I usually reserve for caching or for VMs, right? Or VMs or databases, really too. Most of my databases I run on VMs that are running in Kubernetes. But anyways, things where I need a lot of random IO. Lots of random IO. VMs fit that really well, right? It's all random IO. If you're running one, on top of a pool of disks, you're running multiple on top of pool disks, it's all random. Random read write everywhere. And so wherever I see that access pattern, I'm just like SSD, minimum, SSD. If it's larger files and they're contiguous files, NAS, you know, that's where I say, okay, spinning disk is okay. But really in my head, it's like, okay, my NAS is where my data's stored. That's all, you know, that's all spinning disks. Everywhere else, it's SSDs. So I've kind of taken that approach too. If spinning disks or SSDs, the price of SSDs drop to the price of, you know, spinning disk, I would consider switching. But then again, it's like, we don't know what the longevity is. And we know for sure that there are a limited number of writes to SSD or flash storage. So all good questions. YAML, GigaChad, Geekmasher YAML GigaChad. Oh, let's see. Schnee.dev. Do you actively work at Docker? Or had you worked there in the past? No. Docker sent me this. So they sent me this. I randomly replied to something on Twitter, and then they were like, hey, want a hoodie? I don't remember how the exchange went, but something like that. And so they were like, here you go. So no, I've never worked at Docker. Huge fan though. A lot of stuff that I do is Docker related, container related. But I've never worked at Docker. I like it. Hey, no, they just totally gave it to me. Totally, just swag. That's all. Yeah, I saw this earlier, and that was part of your. Yeah, I saw this earlier, and I totally agree. I think that was part of your sub message. I agree. Homepage looks great. I've thought about changing to Casa OS, which I've been using for a dashboard, to Heimdall or Homepage. Thoughts? I think that we just talked about that. Homepage looked great. I've thought about changing Casa OS, which I've been using as a dashboard, to Heimdall or Homepage. Thoughts? Like I said, I already talked about this quite a bit. Like Heimdall's totally fine. And if you're fine with it and it works for you and it works great, go for it. But if you want to take a config-driven approach where you can configure the thing in YAML rather than using the GUI to configure it, I'd say Homepage is the best, you know, a good fit. And that's where I see, you know, the differences. It's really in the user experience, the UX. You know, does the user or the operator experience, do they configure it in the UI like Heimdall, you know, which is super nice. You got a bunch of forms, you can copy and paste, you can go through it really quick. Or do you configure it in YAML where, you know, not as certain as to what it's doing, but you can take that YAML and apply it, or you could even search and find and replace and do multiple edits at once and then apply it and see the output. So that's what it boils down to, the developer experience, UX experience, whatever you want to call it. And so if you like doing WYSIWYG editors, not truly WYSIWYG, but if you like filling out forms in a UI to configure your dashboard homepage, yeah, Heimdall's a great fit. But if you want YAML and you want to configure it using, you know, YAML to do it for you, yeah, I think Homepage is a good fit. So that's where I think it's up to you to decide how you want to configure it. Techno Tim, have you looked at Kate Studio? I haven't. I mean, I've looked at so many Kate's things, I can't even remember, like, if I've looked at Kate Studio or Kubernetes Studio. I want to say, like, I just recently looked at a ton of Kubernetes stuff because I'm signed up for a Kubernetes newsletter, and they just talked about, like, the best tools in all these categories, and that might have been in there, but I'll look again. Note to self, look at it again. You know, see, I read the article, and I may not have read it close enough, so... since I don't remember, I'm going to say no. It's always DNS. Yeah, it is. Nerpius, Homer is good and allowed for vgood customization. Seen it? Yeah, GitHub Homer. Yeah, Homer is definitely good too. Homer's good too. I can't remember. I think Homer also allows you to pass it to config. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think you can, because I think then you can pass, config to it, and people are doing that in Kubernetes too. But yeah, Homer's good. Homar is good, like the R version of it. You know, they're all great for sure. They're all great for sure, and I think it boils down to, first, looks and features. That's probably going to be high on someone's list, you know, looks and features, and then you might think about how you configure it. And I think that was high on my list. That replaced looks and features. If you get them all in one, then I'm on board. Hello there, how's it going? Noise Marine, hey, how's it going? Finally racked my ML350 on Rails today. Was on a shelf, added another 40 terabytes to it at the same time. Dang, man, yeah, that sounds awesome. So yeah, it's always fun to rack things. I think it's fun. Not necessarily the act of doing it, but for me, like the end result, right? You had something that was kind of, you know, sitting on a table, sitting on a shelf, wires are everywhere, totally fine. But then, like, once I put it in a rack, I feel like all of that, I don't know, anxiety I have about cords unplugging, bumping into it, stacking stuff on top of it, making room for something else on, you know, this shelf or this, you know, yeah, I end up stacking stuff on top of everything to where I'm like, oh man, I wish I had a system for it. And so I think as a rack is a great system for your systems because it gets rid of all that anxiety for me, for sure. Kaiser Sose, switched to Hompage as well after watching Tim's video. Was using Heimdall previously. Yeah, I think so too. It's pretty good. Hey, the PC Geek, how's it going, man? Techno Tim, been working on demoing the floor in my new office, down to the bare subfloor, everywhere but the closet now. Awesome. Next step is removing remaining staples and the carpet tack strips. That is awesome, man. First, when I saw demoing, I'm like, oh, what are you demoing? Like, I didn't think demolition, but I thought you meant demonstrating. I'm like, oh, PC Geek's giving a demo somewhere. Where's this at? Anyways, pretty awesome. I want to say that sounds fun. To me, that sounds kind of fun. Doing, I don't know, manual labor, tearing up an office to redo it yourself, to make it your new office, I assume, as you mentioned. That sounds fun to me. Down to bare subfloor everywhere but the closet now. Next step is removing the staples, yeah, and the carpet tack strips. Yeah, carpet tack, yeah, I've done that before. You know, you get the little claw jack thing. I don't know what it's called, as you could tell. Get the little claw thing and you bump it out and you get that tack strip out. Getting all the staples out kind of sucks. Kind of sucks. I've had to do that before. Needle nose, you pull them all out. The ones that break, you pound them down, but you just start in one section and make your way. I'm sure you've done it way more than I've done it, but it sounds fun, man. Sounds fun. It sounds fun to kind of redo your space, get a new space, however you want to look at it, but sounds fun, man. Oh, that is, I know exactly what that is. Give me 1 second. Yeah, total rip. You know what that is? Yeah. Well, camera's overheating. That's what that means. That's what that means. Camera's overheating whenever you see that. You know, I have my huge Samsung monitor here. Then I have my camera. And right behind my camera is a Keylight. Yeah, so it doesn't get any... It's totally fine. I do need some water cooling for the camera. At least a fan. At least a fan. That's why I turned the ceiling fan on high right now. It'll come back. It'll come back. I've been through this. Sometimes it'll do this mid-recording and it drives me crazy. Or sometimes mid-zoom. And I have to keep redoing it. But anyways. All right. Now the fan's going. I don't know how much longer it's going to take, but let's see. I'm kind of close to time too. Let's keep going. A couple more, and then I will have to wrap it up. Not because it's, you know, not only because it's time, because my camera, he's given up, man. Come on, camera. It's not like I haven't beat the crap out of it for 5 years straight by running it, you know, 12 hours a day, whether it be recording or Zoom. But anyways, have you seen the video, Theo T3, about open source contributions? I haven't. And I think this goes back to what I was talking about contributing to open source, how I feel like even opening issues and identifying bugs is part of contributing to open source, because a lot of people say, hey, I'm not a developer, I'm not a coder, I can't write code, I don't know what the code's about, even if I can write it. Where I was saying, yeah, I think you know, reporting issues is part of open source too. Speaking of, yeah, there was one I and Big Sky, I think, on GitHub were tracking down last night about Chirpy theme. We were debugging in production on Twitter. And he had mentioned to me right away. I opened an issue with Chirpy theme and tried to do my part. And I even wrote a little liquid code. I don't know if it's right, but we'll see. Anyways, I haven't seen it. I hope it includes what I was talking about. I should look it up. But I hope it includes what I'm talking about. Shoot, even spelling corrections and beautifying a README is contributing to open source, or creating a README in general is definitely open source. Or answering questions in the discussions tab. It all is. I've heard of Homer, but I haven't really looked into any of them too much. Yeah, I've seen it too. Well said. I think about supplying a fix. Yeah, so this is related to that will likely need to be reapplied after each upgrade. Thank you. I like Hompage. Switch from Dashy. All right. But I do miss the ability to have the little pop-up inside the page. I used to pop up an open tab into Dashy page without needing to open the tab to turn my lights off. Huh. I'll also have to see what you mean. I'll have to see what you mean, because you switch from Dashy. I do miss the ability to have a little pop-up inside of a page. I didn't know it could do that. I'll have to look. It's me, Nebula, that joined the Discord a couple days ago. Hey, it is you, Nebula, and that's what you're saying. It's me, Nebula. Hey, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for joining. Do the thug shake. I don't know what the thug shake is. I have no idea. Blockbog on networks, don't you have to rebuild 2x? Oh, yeah, yeah. Didn't you have to rebuild it 2 times due to DB corruptions? Yeah, I have. Yeah, that SQLite database inside that little container, I beat the crap out of it. Like, you know, most of it's probably my fault, shutting a VM down, containerized workload down mid everything without a sig term to where it's still writing. And I probably corrupted the database, but you know, I don't want to deal with databases for my homepage anymore. And yeah, I have corrupted it many times. I've corrupted it to where I've had to rebuild the whole thing. I think that's what you're talking about, just a couple weeks ago. I had to rebuild my Heimdall dashboard just to do my self-hosting services tour in 2024 because it was corrupt. So I was just like, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. I seriously did. I had to rebuild my whole dashboard just so I could show that I was using Heimdall and show what my dashboard looked like and use it during that video. So no mas way, no more of that. First stream from you, hey, thank you. And this is Nebula, hey, LOL, thank you. Let's see, good day, y'all. To be perfectly honest, I never managed to keep my homepage product working. My Homelab changes too frequently. No, Norsu, oh man, you gotta spell this phonetically. Hey, I totally get it. I've been there too. I got super excited about Heimdall in the beginning, and then I configured all of these services, and then I just let it sit. And my Homelab changed a lot. You know, all of a sudden, like, I was like, oh, my IP changed, or oh, DNS changed, or this changed, and that changed, to where now I'm clicking on buttons that lead nowhere. So I've been there too. A couple of things that I learned, that if you are gonna use, you know, a homepage dashboard, I would say when you configure it, use DNS if you can. That makes where you need to change stuff a little bit easier to figure out. Like I have DNS set up for almost every IP address. Like in my head, if you have a static IP or if you have a DHCP reservation, you're getting DNS as well. So that saved me through a lot of iterations to not then hard code IP addresses. Like even my IPMI, they all have DNS entries. So now that kind of gave my dashboard, my homepage dashboard, made it a little more useful, because if I go and move something, the IP of something, I'm most likely going to reuse that DNS entry, and so that helped. The other thing I found that made it more interesting for me, and I think a few people mentioned this through the video, I didn't mention it in the homepage video, but it also has that whole ping status. So it has that ping status that you can, I'm getting video back. So it has that ping status, which makes, I think, your homepage a little more useful, because, you know, I go to my homepage, I can see what's alive, what's dead, and at a glance, I'm like, cool, I don't need to fix or triage anything right now. So anyways, I totally get it. Mine changed a lot, and I'll say it, like I largely ignored my homepage for a long time, and then I got tired of, like, I just got tired of bookmarks. Bookmarks didn't always do it for me, because, you know, a lot of my DNS entries are the same. And then on top of that, I was like, hey, I want to be portable. When I, you know, left on my laptop and connected over VPN, I still wanted to be able to connect to everything, as I could with my bookmarks, but you know what I mean. Mobile device too, you know, homepage to go there to troubleshoot stuff. It's pretty awesome. So anyways, I'm gonna pull one more from the end, just because I want to make sure that I'm just clicking. I want to make sure that I address something that someone just wrote too, because we are going to be wrapping up here in a few. Hey, Muskie, I like it. Are there any tools you would recommend for building containers in CI/CD without needing privileged containers to build the image? I was trying Builda, but there are some limitations that require extra permissions. Hey, this is a great question. This is a great question. So I've been through this before. So you're basically saying, hey, I want to build containers in CI, but when I'm building containers in CI, Docker itself requires elevated permissions to build that container in CI. So what are some alternatives? And you try Builda. And I have tried Builda before, and I went through this. And I had to figure this out too. And I will say, Kaniko. So Google built something exactly for this. It's called Kaniko, Kaniko, or Kaniko, or however you want to call it. But Google built this to solve that exact problem, so that you didn't have to run a container as root to be able to build another container. Yeah, this is totally camera-ed. This sensor on that thing is probably going to start on fire, because every time every time I turn it on and off, I'm basically saying, hey, temperature, sensor, I don't care that you're shutting off because you're too hot. I just want to keep turning it back on. I need to blow on it. I feel like this is like Nintendo back in the day. Blow on the cartridge. So anyways, I should probably, this is more than a clue to wrap it up, and messing up my camera too. So anyways, going back to you, Muskie, I will say check out Kaniko. It's awesome. It does exactly what you need to do. And also you can run that in Kubernetes too. So that's what I do. I run my GitLab runners in Kubernetes for building. They use Kaniko to do it, and then I can build my images. So check it out. It's pretty cool. It's Kaniko. Google built it. So it's got some clout and it's got some dollars behind it too. So it's not going anywhere anytime soon. I will say I don't think they support the multi-arch build yet, like BuildX on Docker. So you might need to check into that if you need to do multi-arch builds. Can't remember if they can do it or not yet. So anyways, man, thank you all so much for coming out. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the bits. Thank you for the subs. Thank you for the resubs. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate, most of all, you guys being here. Like, I get to geek out one day for 1 hour, and this is it. So I appreciate you coming, and it's been awesome. All of these ideas you guys talk about just give me a lot of motivation to go and research other things we're talking about today, like Kate Studio. Like, I'm Googling that right afterwards to see if I have looked at it before. If I see a purple link on Google, I know I've been there. So anyways, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming out. Thanks for the bits, for the subs, for everything else. If you want to continue the conversation and you're not done and you want to nerd out some more with me and with a lot of the people that are in chat, join the Discord. We have almost 10,000 people, full of people who are genuinely interested in this stuff, who like to talk about it, who like to help people, or also like to lurk. We have a lot of channels about a lot of different things, and so if you're more into storage, or you're more into networking, or you're more into containers or Kubernetes, that's all in there too. So we have channels for almost everything you could imagine. A lot of channels. So anyways, have a great weekend. I will be here next Saturday, and we'll go from there. Hopefully I have something out for you here real soon. So anyways, have a great rest of the weekend. Take care, folks, and be good to each other. Take care.